So is it actually cool to be conservative now? I mean, when you look around the right's big tent, instead of just seeing a bunch of tweed suit wearing cigar smokers, you're seeing like hippies, but the good kind of hippies. I have a problem with hippies, but not the new hippies. They're good. Influencers, and dare I say it, cool kids. Is this just like, can we keep this up? Because this is really, really good. It's MAHA that plays a big role in that. The MAHA hippies, they didn't change. They just recognized the left changed. And the right is changing as well. And I hope it's real. The suburban moms, those people will stick around if my next guest has anything to say about it. She is here to talk about everything from IVF, Big Pharma, the causes of depression. Is it even real? The medicines that we take, food. Welcome, influencer and host of Culture Apothecary, Alex Clark. Before we get to Alex, let me talk to you about Relief Factor. Are you living with pain? If so, how bad is it? How frequent is it? It's the sort of thing that not only annoys you, but interferes with the very way you live your life. Do you make decisions based on whether or not it's going to flare up? I have to tell you, we're going to be talking about Big Pharma with Alex here in a second. The poison that we put into our bodies to try to feel better, first of all, it doesn't work. It just masks the pain. You need something that's working with your body that is natural. And Relief Factor is a daily supplement that helps your body fight the pain by fighting inflammation, which is the source of most of the pain in our bodies and a lot of our disease. 100% drug-free, developed by doctors to help reduce or eliminate pain. Over 1 million people have tried Relief Factor's Quick Start Kit. 70% of them go on to order it again and again. Try the 3-week Quick Start. $19.95, less than $1 a day. 1-800-4-RELIEF. 1-800-4-RELIEF. ReliefFactor.com. Welcome back, Alex. How are you?
I'm so good. I've only done your radio show before, so this is such a treat.
This is the first podcast?
Yes.
Really? I thought you were on the podcast, not just the radio show.
No, I've only done your radio show. I think
good.
I've done it twice. Once just over the phone and once in person.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of space here to talk about some things in depth, and I'm so excited about this because I think there is I am last generation or last year boomer. I've always considered myself X because I was born in 64. 65 is Generation X. And I always have hated the hippies from that other generation. Anyway, there is something that is happening now that is happening in the conservative movement, if you will, that is very much like I used to be rah, let's go in, let's spread democracy. I was an idiot, okay? We're going to go in and spread democracy and we're going to give... You can't. It's a failed progressive idea that we've been doing for 100 years. And in 2003 or 4, I started going, I don't think this is actually good. I don't know if this is going to work out. It was wildly unpopular to say that then. Now I look at conservatives because I changed off of that train 15 years ago. Now I look at that and I see people who are still big war, let's go into Ukraine and give them all the money and let's have our troops everywhere. And I think you are crazy. Have you not learned your lesson? Huge change. I think MAHA, I think the health thing is exactly that kind of a change coming to conservatives. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I grew up with, TV dinners, pot pies. I'm the generation that just had all big food. Crisco. Yeah, all of it, okay? And now I look at Big Pharma, the meat processing plants, all of the stuff that we're ingesting into our bodies, all of the disease that we now strangely have. I could have gotten onto a plane after class covered only in peanut butter, and nobody would have had a problem when I was 20. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, everybody has allergies. Everybody has somebody that they know who is autistic. Something's wrong.
Oh, so deeply wrong. And I love that you said that we kind of shifted in the conservative movement from this establishment conservatism, right, to the populism.
Right.
And then now we're seeing this.
I like the way he said, Trump is saying it, common sense.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care if it's popular. It's just right.
Totally. It's exactly common sense. And I mean, that's the thing, too, with the health standards in America. It's getting back to common sense, or what Trump is saying, gold star science.
Yes.
We totally went away from true science, which is interesting because the left likes to wield that over us. Like, we don't care about the science. Yeah. But actually we do. I mean, everything about them speaks otherwise.
But I think it's your generation that is, I've heard you say, we are the most health conscious generation and the most sick generation. So I think it's really it's being led by your generation, is it not?
I think it is starting to be, and that's super exciting. When I first started talking about this in the conservative movement, it was pulling teeth. It was pulling teeth even at Turning Point. It's being like, I want to focus all of my content on health and wellness. And at first it was just this kind of unease of like, what does this have to do with conservative politics? Especially last year, it was like, we're in an election year. That's when I rebranded my show to Culture Apothecary and specifically focus on health and wellness. And it just kind of felt like this is random and weird, and I don't understand the purpose, especially when we have an election on the line. And I was saying, I need you to listen to me. I am boots on the ground every day with undecided female voters and even, previous Trump voters, female Trump voters, and that are maybe like not totally sold on Trump this time around. When I talk about the health and wellness issue, when I talk about RFK, when I talk about seed oils, when I talk about chronic disease amongst our children, the numbers go crazy and they start getting excited about Trump. If we focus on this with women, we will win the election.
So I don't want to, politics important, but I don't want to make this about politics, because I think just like I've been, ringing the bell on the corruption in our system, the system that keeps the system going for so long.
It's nonpartisan.
Right. But it is so important that we don't allow it to become about partisan politics, because once that happens, it's going to be discredited by one side or the other, and it's then we're really
Glenn,
pulling teeth.
Whose fault would that be, though? So here's my question. Health becoming a political issue, I blame that on the left. This should be nonpartisan.
Yes.
During the pandemic, when they mandated us all get a certain medical product injected into our bodies and said, you will lose your job unless you do it, that was making things political. They didn't have to do that.
Everything to the left is political, though.
Exactly.
Everything.
Yes. And so I think what's cool, and it is totally nonpartisan. I mean, that's why you have this partnership with RFK Jr. and Trump joining together to be like, hey, this Make America Healthy Again stuff, this is for everybody. And that's why we gained 8 points with female voters for Trump. It was interesting to me that the left was focusing on, abortion, talking about abortion rights and being pro-choice. This is what's going to win us the election with women. And actually, it turns out that women care a lot more about, their sick, unhealthy kids and voting to put healthy food on the table as opposed to killing them. So I think that was a way more important. And it was exciting to me because MAHA and this MAHA movement, this isn't a 4-year program for the Trump administration. MAHA will transcend MAGA. It is a nonpartisan political movement to fix our food, to fix our health, and it's going to keep going after Trump is done with this term. So
I'm watching the deep state being dismantled in a way that I never thought could happen. I've been saying for years, the only hope is that have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in? You know what I mean? You have to reset it to factory settings. You have to reset it to constitutional settings, which means firing almost everybody and then reconsidering everything. Well, that's kind of where we're headed at this point. So I've never seen anything like this before in my lifetime. This is groundbreaking.
Oh, it's so exciting.
It's so exciting. And that has all kinds of money behind it. Defense, that are fighting it. Defense, even tech, all of this stuff. You've got big pharma, big food, big farm. You have power and money that just does not want you to be heard.
Yeah, and you can see how scared they are based on the news headlines. And I mean, this is with everything. But what are we seeing now currently? Oh, well, everybody's talking about these couple measles outbreaks, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's like bringing up measles. Every headline is measles. Every single press conference, they're asking RFK, are you scared about the measles? They're trying to do this gotcha thing, asking Trump that. And we've had a couple measles outbreaks every single year forever. Now it's been...
We used to have chickenpox parties.
Oh, yeah. Well, and now you're seeing like a lot of these unvaccinating families now, they're starting to bring those back. Yeah. And measles was already on the downtrend by the time that vaccine came out. We always have a couple of people that get it. And I mean, so it's interesting to me, though, that you're seeing the media focus on measles and create this absolute fear with parents on this disease. But that was like before the vaccine came out. I mean, a couple hundred people were hospitalized a year for measles. We have hundreds of millions of people dying of chronic disease in this country. Yeah. But the headlines aren't talking about that.
I mean, I made a note before you walked into the studio. It used to be, well, we got a problem because look at how fat. But that's because we're sitting around, our kids aren't playing outside, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. It's also the food we're feeding ourselves. Autism, allergies, cancer rates, fertility rates are going down by 1 to 2 percentage points every year. That's the end of all humankind if we don't figure that one out. If you just look at all of the things, suicide, depression. Now, suicide and depression, I want to talk to you about it as we go, but there are reasons for those. But in Los Angeles, I heard yesterday, they're giving dogs Prozac.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. What the hell is wrong with you? Okay. The disease and the evidence that something's wildly wrong is too hard to miss. You could talk to me about the measles all day long, but I'd be like, yeah, but have you seen the rest of this?
The rest of this. And so this is what's really juicy. I do a lot of speaking on college campuses and I'll get the college kids, so they're Gen Z, and then I will have like people that are fans of my show that are more millennial age come. And so there's a mix of kind of millennial and Gen Z in the audience. And one of my favorite exercises lately is to say, okay, raise your hand, Gen Z, if you know somebody who is, morbidly obese. If someone in your class is morbidly obese and it's like four more people, every hand will go up. Raise your hand if you know somebody who has a life-altering food allergy, like peanuts or something, where if they're even around it, they could die. Every hand goes up. Raise your hand if you know somebody with autism. Every hand goes up. I'll do the same exercise with the millennials in the audience. I'll say, raise your hand if when you were in school, there was like 3 or 4 morbidly obese people, no hands. How many of you grew up with people having a life-threatening food allergy? No hands, 1 hand. It's unbelievable. And so you have to say, okay, because they want to say like, oh, it's genetics. That's not what's happening. Something in the environment has changed that is making all of these people, like, how do you go from, 1 in 10,000 kids in the 80s has autism to 1 in 36, in some cases 1 in 26. We are edging closer and closer, Glenn, to a reality where it will be nearly impossible for children in America to marry somebody who is not autistic, to find a mate who does not have autism. That is the future that we are looking at. Now, imagine what that's going to look like for just like humanity. It's very, very scary. And that doesn't mean that we don't love, people that have autism. I'm just saying that, but that's not ideal. I'm sure every parent would say they wish they could have a healthy child that did not have autism. Yes. And so we have to ask why. And so people get very bent out of shape when they're shilling for pharma, and they're like terrified that RFK Jr. is saying, well, I want to test for efficacy every single vaccine that's on the childhood schedule. And why would you be opposed to that?
Right. And may I ask, I would like Big Pharma not to be involved in it.
Yeah, why are they allowed to pick who's doing the testing and charge
and
of
we'll
the trials?
pay for it. We'll just do. Are you out of your mind?
That should not be legal.
Never.
And so this is when we talk about getting back to gold star science. These are the types of things that RFK Jr. is saying he wants to do. Now, why in the world would somebody be opposed to that? He's not saying, oh, we're all of a sudden going to ban childhood vaccines. We want parents to have informed choice in America for every medical product that goes in your child's body. Everyone should be able to have that freedom to decide what I do and don't want my child or myself to have.
Are you seeing the same trends in places, smaller places that have like a Mediterranean diet? Are you seeing these kinds of stats coming from countries and populations that don't eat like we eat?
Oh, no. I mean,
so it is generally a Western and American thing.
It's a Western thing. I mean, you're starting to see stuff like that, a little bit in places like the UK and things like that. But I mean, largely, we are the biggest spenders on healthcare, and we are also the sickest. So because something isn't adding up.
It's a racket.
Yeah. So you're not actually curing people. We have all this access to amazing medications and services. And let me tell you something. Western medicine is incredible when you are, you have like needing an amputation or you have an infection of some sort or something. That's when you want Western medicine, antibiotics, all those. I get it. The problem is, in America, we are not curing anything. We are not
keeping it all at bay.
Actually helping people live longer, like happily living longer. We're actually just helping people die longer. And that is a really scary reality to think about. We should not be on, 7 to 12 medications starting in our 50s. That's not how it should be. Like, we should be able to run around with our grandkids and enjoy life in those last years. And then, maybe at the very, very end, you're starting to get sick and you're older and whatever. But like that kind of stuff should not be happening as early as it does.
My grandfather died 4 years older than I am now.
Wow.
And when I was growing up, that was old. When he was young, the Social Security Administration started, and guys died an average of 62 years old. You were never supposed to get. It was for your wife, who was scheduled to die, average at 65. So it was those who just lived a little bit longer. We are living longer. And I hate to throw out, there are things that we have, and I don't know what they are yet. I really don't. But there are things that I think, wow, you wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for that. There was a culling because we couldn't take care of some simple things. But I think what's happening is we're just loading up on everything. And everything that you take one medicine, well, that's going to cause this problem because you're out of balance with the natural body.
So here's what you have to understand. There is no such thing as a prescription drug that doesn't have one side effect.
Correct.
Every single prescription drug that we are offered in America has a side effect. So then you've got to look at that and decide, the risk and the pros and the cons, and if you want to decide to take that. The problem is that we prescribe somebody something, has a certain side effect, then we say, oh, well, guess what? We have another drug for that side effect. Yeah. And then you're going to need another drug for that side effect. And it's this never-ending treadmill of pharmaceutical intervention that we are putting people on, as young as now children, because Lexapro, which is an antidepressant, was just approved for kids as young as 7. They're testing GLP-1s, weight loss drugs like Ozempic on kids as young as 6. So instead of looking at the problem, what are we feeding kids? What could be causing things like anxiety and depression? Are they getting outside? What foods are they eating? We know that there's a gut-brain connection, that what is going on in your gut is affecting how you're feeling in your brain. Instead of asking any of these questions, which would be so much easier to fix, we're saying let's medicalize this child at a younger age. Now, imagine, which we're already seeing this because of things like ADHD medication and kids that are on that all, for their entire life and then getting into their 20s and their 30s. But imagine these kids that are on Ozempic or Lexapro, an antidepressant, a totally mind-altering drug, as a child throughout their adult life, that it is going to be impossible for those kids to be able to get off those drugs. The withdrawal it's already deadly. I can't imagine your entire life being hooked on that, trying to get off. I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
I mean, I'm riddled with ADD. I didn't know that until my whole staff that was working with me 20 years ago went, I was talking about ADD. Come on. And people were like, are you kidding me? You don't know you are riddled with it? Okay. I went just for the show purposes. I went, got the diagnosis. But that's what made me.
Yeah.
You're born a certain way, and you either learn what that means in your life and learn to manage it in your life. And it could be any disability, anything could be a great gift if you go, oh, well, this way I am, so I got to work this way. That's why people with ADD, traditionally, before we started treating kids for it, you either lived under a bridge or you were very successful.
I love what you're bringing up because this is super important. We've now medicalized the human experience, what is supposed to be the normal human experience, to go throughout life and experience super high highs and low lows. Experiencing feelings like grief and sadness is normal. It's normal, but we've been now told that it's not okay to feel any like variation besides like a certain just, regular level. Right. Like you should never feel super high highs or low lows. Like we just all need to be on one note all the time. That is a horrible way to exist. That is not how God created us. Like God gave us emotions to be able to feel these incredible things and be able to feel joy. We are seeing like 24, 25-year-old men saying things like, I don't know, I feel nothing, like I have no purpose, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, like I don't know, I just like kind of just go through life every day. Like we're zombifying an entire generation of people and then wondering why do all these young people say like, I don't know, I feel purposeless. It's because you're all medicated. And then, we wonder like, why can't people make clear decisions at the voting booth and things like that? When you're totally like messed up on all these medications and then the chemical food, that's why like everybody is, brain fog is real. Like nobody can think clearly. Everybody's seeing life through black and white when it should be full color. And then we're wondering why everybody is seeing such high rates of anxiety and depression and nobody feels happy. Like you have to ask yourself, like, what are we doing?
I remember when they said, yes, you're riddled with ADD, try this. And I started taking it. I took it for like 2 days. And I was like, oh, dear God, no, I don't like this. Because it was flattening everything out. And I remember saying to my wife, never should any child ever be given any of this kind of medication. Because at least when I started taking it, I was like, oh, no, that's bad. That's changing. I know what's good and bad about me and the doses of good and bad in me. I've learned how to navigate in it. As a kid, you don't know who you are. You don't know what's good and bad. You don't know what's a tool, what's a learning experience. You don't know any of it.
Well, there's a reason why.
And it flattens you out.
Hormonal birth control does the same thing to women. And there's a reason why young women finally decide to get off birth control and they're like, oh, I met me. Because it completely numbs our personalities. It affects the type of mate that we're attracted to. So I don't know if you know this, but a lot of research has been done. A woman on hormonal birth control is actually more attracted to a feminine looking man than a masculine man.
Unbelievable.
It's very fascinating. And so what happens is a lot of women are put on this as teenagers. We're not really given true consent about this drug. Then we decide, mid to late 20s, okay, we're married, we're ready to have a family, we're going to get off of it. And then we wake up and we're like, oh my gosh. Who am I married to? I'm not attracted to my husband at all because they married them or met them when they were on birth control. And so then they have to relearn being attracted to their spouse, which is terrifying and a horrible experience for them. But that's something that like none of us are told in a 10-minute wellness checkup when we're just prescribed birth control because your period as a woman, it's too complicated to figure out. You don't need to worry about it. A period's overrated. We don't need it. Let's put you on this pill. Women need to have a period, not to like get into a health lesson, but a lot of men don't realize this. I always tell like young guys in college, which is very countercultural. I say, tell your girlfriends to get off birth control. Now, that doesn't mean, there's other conversations to be had there, but tell your girlfriend to get off birth control, especially if you're serious about marriage, because you need to make sure she's actually attracted to you for you. And a lot of them are really shocked by that. And also that when you're on birth control, you don't have a true period. And that's kind of like an extra special vital sign as women to kind of be in tune with our bodies and our personalities and kind of understand what's going on hormonally. So we're supposed to have as women, 4 hormonal fluctuals sorry, let me say this again. We're supposed to, as women, have 4 hormonal fluctuations throughout a month. So we do have a week where we're like a little more creative. We have a week where we're going to be a little more irritable. We have a week where we're really going to want to have sex. For a man to understand those fluctuations and for her to be able to feel those different things because she's not on birth control, that can totally make or break your relationship. Like if a guy understands that is the secret hack to understanding women. But nobody is teaching men how to understand a woman's cycle. Like they should be learning those lessons just as young women should, so that you can have a more successful relationship, because that's a huge important thing. There's a reason why men can have a fight with a woman and then wake up and be like, okay, I'm over it, let's move on. And a woman can't. It's because it takes us 28 days for our hormones to restart, and it takes a man 24 hours. So that's a total difference that guys aren't taught. So I always tell young guys when I'm talking to them about these like health issues and things, like you need to understand a woman's hormones and her menstrual cycle, and that is really the secret to understanding women.
Wow. That's worth the price of admission just there. Wow, that's incredible. So where did this start? I mean, when my father was young, wheat was this high in the fields. Now wheat is about that high because we improved it so we could have all of that energy, instead of going into the stock, into the wheat, and we could feed the world. When did this start? Did it start with big food? Did it start with us messing around with the food? When did that go bad? Because I think early on, America fed the world. It fed the world. People were starving like crazy in the world. And we changed the world, but we did it by altering nature.
Correct.
So is that the beginning of this, do you think?
It is, to a certain extent. If you want to get really specific, this really, I think, can be taken back to John D. Rockefeller. And so, which is everything. I love you. Which is everything. I mean, there's so much that we can tie back to him. But
it really, quite evil. People don't know. He's the guy who designed modern medicine.
Exactly. So what happened was that really led us into this path, because he was seeing this. He was seeing an opportunity for his oil byproducts. Like, what can I do with these? Whatever. Kind of created this idea for pills, a pill for an ill. That's how we got to this culture. And he was like, ooh, because at the time, like 50% of medicine in America, I mean, we had a lot we were using herbal remedies, and we had chiropractors and a lot of natural ways to heal. And he kind of saw that as like taking away money from him. He wanted to create all these pills. And so he's like, let's start putting it out there with the Flexner report. Let's start putting it out there that these people are quacks. They have no idea what we're doing. We're going to create, pharmaceutical drugs. And this is going to be like the problem solver for everything.
Better living through pharmaceuticals.
Yes. And so when he did that, he had all of this extra waste. Again, it was putting oil byproducts there. And then he kind of saw this need of like oil byproducts, and let's get rid of animal fats and cooking with animal fats and cook with oil byproducts. So that's how we get seed oils, and Crisco was like the first big thing on the market that they were promoting, baby formula, all these different things. So we start to see these changes really with also the industrialization of food. So what happened was we started seeing all these people move into the city, leaving the farm life. We needed to bring food into the city. Well, what were people doing? This is how then we get milk pasteurization. We start bringing cows into the city where they're not supposed to live. We're housing them in huge warehouses where they're eating trash. They're eating these terrible diets, living in these terrible conditions. They start getting sick. People start getting sick from the dairy. Oh, well, guess what? Now we're going to pasteurize milk. That's going to zap all of the good ingredients from the milk, but it will make it safe to drink, which is true. People were getting sick from dairy. But it wasn't because it was raw. It was because of how we were farming.
It was a 19th century problem.
Yes.
We don't have that problem anymore.
Correct.
You can keep the cow clean
before
you milk the cow.
And so that's what everybody likes to bring up, because I talk about raw milk a lot, and how I'm a huge advocate for raw milk because it's a superfood. And it's what our ancestors always drank. And so they always like to bring that up, like, well, it's safer. This is why people don't get sick anymore. And they don't understand the history there. But, we go from the industrialization with our food to then, the Vietnam War. Well, when the Vietnam War ends, we have all of these extra chemicals like Agent Orange and all these things. Well, what are we going to do with all of this? Well, what if we use it on our crops and we're able to keep bugs off of our crops. Well, we know when we spray it on a bug, it explodes its stomach, but surely it'll be fine for human beings. So we start, making these different variations, and that's how we get glyphosate. And we start spraying our crops with a neurotoxin of glyphosate. So that's happening to our food. And then, yes, we kind of get into this, like, we need to feed the world. This is America's responsibility, which I totally disagree with.
But I'm not saying it was America's responsibility. I think a earlier generation
thought
not only it was their responsibility, it was a privilege.
Yes.
We could produce what the rest of the world could not.
And I will say, I don't think that everything was malicious. I think there was good intent here. But
Rockefeller, and certain people all along the way, yes.
Of course. They're going to see opportunities to make money, and, they're going to take advantage of it. But the thing is that we, I think, wanted to do what's right. Okay, we can feed more people. We can make cheaper food that'll make it more accessible for poor people.
Right.
And I think, like with anything in culture, you get away from God's design and there are consequences. There are consequences to making man-made chemical food as opposed to what God made for us to eat. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. Sure, more people have access to food, but it isn't food. It's fake. It's dead food. It's killing you. It's creating, chronic disease and things like that. So there's going to be consequences to that. Sure, you have more access, but what are you eating?
But the problem is, because if you're starving, you'll take that dead food over no food. You will.
Well, of course.
Yeah. And so the problem is not necessarily the person who's like, I'm sorry, but I want to eat. And if you will provide this for me, I will eat. The problem is it's without understanding or consent. We don't tell ourselves, let alone others.
Well, the government.
This is dangerous.
The government is telling, with our current SNAP and WIC programs, they're telling people that are poor, this is the food for you to eat. Now, this is a huge thing that RFK Jr. wants to work on with HHS, is we need to totally revamp what is on our WIC and SNAP programs, is that we are subsidizing and incentivizing people to eat crap food and junk food. Why are we making it more accessible and cheaper for a poor family to drink soda than it is, milk and different things like that, or to get, a rotisserie chicken or organic fruits and vegetables? Why are we making that harder, but we're making it easier to get Pringles and Coca-Cola?
So why is that?
Because these industries have been corrupted. So you will remember this because you were on Fox and different stuff when I was little. So I remember watching you and watching these news programs. I know, sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
So what I remember is being younger and seeing conservative networks talk about things like getting rid of soda on food stamps as a freedom issue. Well, this is an infringement on freedom to take away our pop. I'm from the Midwest. I'm just saying that era of news anchors.
Right.
And so this was a huge talking point. Well, what was really going on was Big Food, Coca-Cola was sending lobbyists to Capitol Hill. They were telling the conservatives, hey, this is a huge infringement on freedom. You don't want to take that away. People need access to these things. We can't tell people they shouldn't eat, sugary stuff. And so if you put it that way, that makes sense. That's a conservative value. But it's really the opposite of that. The whole system is rigged, and that's the freedom issue, is that we're not even given informed consent to make those choices.
Let's focus there for a second, because even the food pyramid is wrong.
Yeah, it's totally fake. What we grew up with was fake.
Okay, explain that.
So different industries were buying bigger sections of the food pyramid.
What does that mean?
Big ag was, if you want to shill, certain wheat products, or you want to shill, dairy, the dairy industry. They were all able to just kind of buy their portion of the food pyramid. And then that's what was then promoted by the government to be put in our curriculum in school. This is what I grew up with. So when I testified at the Senate with RFK Jr. and Senator Ron Johnson in September of 2024, and we focused on chronic disease, I focused my speech on millennials were made to be guinea pigs to an experiment that we never consented to. Every single aspect of nutrition and health that we were taught as the millennial generation was completely fake. It was completely bought and paid for. From the food pyramid, the vaccine schedule exploded under us. GMOs were invented and put into the food system under us. The women were put on birth control at 14, 15 like clockwork with no informed consent about what that would do to our bodies. And then, now what's happening is millennial women, we're the age group starting to want to have families. Now we're all told, oh, we have a great solution for that, IVF. So the whole thing, like, we've just been created to be a commodity. Like, every aspect of millennial women is just, let's manipulate you for this. We're going to use you for this. We're just a product to these people.
So let me get to, so how do you then stop that? Do you know who Edward Bernays was?
No. You're
going to love looking into Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is the father of propaganda. Okay. He was during the Wilson administration. Propaganda was advertising. They only changed it to advertising after the Nazis got good at propaganda. And they were like, oh, yeah, we don't do propaganda. It's advertising. Okay. He's the guy. Women smoke because of him. The reason why we have the right American breakfast is a couple of eggs, some bacon, and some orange juice and a piece of toast. That's Edward Bernays. He had the cattle prices were starting to come down, so more and more people were eating beef. Ham was what everybody used to have because it was cheap. As beef prices came down, the ham producer said, we're going to go out of business. So he came up with an idea, ham for breakfast. Bacon, ham for breakfast, couple of eggs, maybe some orange juice. The average person had for breakfast every morning a piece of toast and a cup of coffee. That's it. Okay. Edward Bernays, within 2 years, because unbeknownst to the rest of the country, he was trying to sell bacon. He wrote a scientific letter and sent it out to every doctor in America that says science now shows that the most healthy breakfast is a couple of eggs and some bacon or some ham every morning.
Unbelievable.
Okay. So this has been going on forever.
And I think here's what's juicy for me. I understood this like manipulation when it came to every other industry as a conservative. I understood big tech. I understood, education, corruption, Hollywood, all these different ways.
You don't think anybody would do this with medicine?
Never. So this, to me, and I think for most conservatives who are now, all of a sudden you see conservatives caring about health and wellness when we never did before. This was really the last true piece of institutional trust that we still held when it came to our government. For some reason, and we were able to put the pieces together for all these other things, but we couldn't do it with this. And it wasn't until the pandemic. The left is so stupid. If they wouldn't have mandated the vaccine, conservatives would still be, oh, who cares about organic food and GMOs? Yeah. Now all of a sudden we really care. And this is one of the biggest talking points, and now we're gaining ground with their voters because we're willing to now care about this issue, and now they're backing away and saying it's right-wing extremism. Right. It's just bizarre.
But it wasn't just that they mandated. That was horrible. But they mandated in the name of science all of these things which were not scientific, and you can see, I'm sorry, I know you say this is normal, but I've never seen so many teenagers drop dead of a heart attack.
Correct.
I've never seen this. I've been around for a while. You can't tell me that's normal.
I mean, it was one of those George Orwell things of
Yes.
Don't believe what your ears hear and your eyes see.
Yes.
And so that was very scary to a lot of people.
That was the change in RFK. At least that's what he told me.
Oh, 100%. And the other thing I like to bring up is because mainstream media, NBC News and all these people, they like to say all this health and wellness stuff is all fringe conservatism. This is right-wing extremism and Christian nationalism, which give me a break. What the hell are you even talking about? And, because of me talking about it, now all of a sudden it's this conservative right-wing thing. And I'm like, you guys are so dumb. It was not conservative Christian suburban moms who weren't vaccinating their kids. It was Hollywood.
Yes.
It was Hollywood for decades.
Yes.
You and I both started in pop radio. It was Jenny McCarthy and Jim Carrey or whatever talking about not vaccinating children. It wasn't Melania Trump.
Right.
So we are the last people on board. Your side were the ones that were trying to talk about this. And when we finally said, tail between our legs, guess what? We were wrong. You were right on this issue. And then they said, oh, we don't want anything to do with you. So who really is principled?
It's almost all of the issues. I keep saying to people on the left, you're right.
Yeah.
You were right about big war. You're right about health and food and don't trust Big Pharma. I was wrong for years. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, how wrong have we been? And now I don't even understand how it works.
And so that is how a lot of Democrats are feeling. And you know, what's interesting about being a part of the MAHA, the official MAHA coalition, and getting to do all this activism that I've been invited to do and stuff. The people that like I testified at the Senate with, for example, like not everybody there was a conservative. I would say most probably weren't. Or like this is the first time they were ever willing to vote Republican in their life, like Jillian Michaels. These were people, they would never have voted Republican, but they felt completely left behind. Like, what the heck do you guys even believe? Like, I was told these were our core principles to care about pharma and food and health, freedom. And now all of a sudden you're turning your back on me. Like, so what the heck? The whole time it was a lie? Like, you don't actually care about it? The right now cares about it, is willing to do something?
I think this administration actually cares. I know Donald Trump very well. He cares. He believes. He may not believe, he's told me this. I don't believe everything that RFK believes. He said, but he at least is right about the direction. There's something wrong, and we need to find out what it is. Might be things that he says it is, might not be.
Yeah.
We don't know.
And RFK Jr. himself has said, and I'm open, I'm willing to be wrong. If I'm wrong and it's not what I think it is, then great, then we're going to focus then on what the truth is. But nobody's been willing to get to the truth.
So do you think in the conservative movement that this is real? Or do you, I mean, I know it is with Trump. I know it is with me. God. Or is it another one of these games where the machinery of Washington is like, yes, we're just like you. We're Ma.
Oh, well, you can tell who some of them are. I mean, some of these people are like completely grifting, like did not give a crap about any of this till now all of a sudden, you know, Trump is saying like, no, this is like important to me. Oh, yeah, I totally care about this. I mean, I'm just seeing like senators and stuff that just raise their hand like, yeah, Ma. I'm like, you've never talked about this once in your life.
Yeah, but we can't be. You could have said that about me.
Well, and me too, a couple years ago. I mean, I didn't care either. So hopefully minds are just being changed and they're on board and they're going to continue this. But yeah, so I believe also, and I like to say this because the left always, you know, one of their negatives about Trump is like, well, I hate his ego. And I'm like, okay, fine. How can we use his ego to our advantage? What does President Trump want more than anything? He wants to be liked. Anyone, all sides can agree on this. I know.
Keep this to yourself. I don't want the left to ever figure this out.
He wants to be liked.
Yeah, everybody does.
He knows that the one thing that nobody can deny writing a positive headline about is if he is able to really, truly reverse chronic disease within 2 years. If he's able to start seeing a downtrend in 2 years.
Do you think you can? Do you think he can?
Oh, yes, we can. Because one of the first things that RFK Jr. is going to do is focus on fixing the school lunches. Okay, that's a huge thing right now. We get this crap out of the kids' food. You're going to see a huge effect with that.
I thought Michelle Obama already did that.
So fun fact about Michelle Obama. I love when people bring this up. When Michelle Obama focused on food, well, let me start this over. When Michelle Obama said that she wanted to focus on getting kids healthy, that was a really noble thing that she wanted to do. Everyone could agree on that. At first, she focused on the food. She was like, let's talk about what are we feeding our kids and the food companies. And there's something really fishy going on here. And then guess what happened? Oh, here they come. Heinz ketchup and all these. I mean, think about Monsanto, all the people who were wrapped up in the Obama administration. They said, get out of here. You will not touch this with a 10-foot pole. You better pivot fast, focus on physical activity. So what happened? Michelle Obama starts renaming this campaign to Let's Move. It becomes all about getting kids to run faster and jump roping, and you're just not moving enough. You know why you're fat, stupid kid? It's because you're not moving. And so you have all these fat kids in suburban America. Well, I'm jogging after school, and I don't understand what's going on. I'm not getting well. And then she's, on the same time, she's doing commercials with Subway. She's promoting Subway. She's promoting ultra-processed foods, which are creating the obesity epidemic and causing these problems. And then the kids are saying, well, I don't understand. I'm doing what the first lady is telling me. Why do I still have man boobs? That's why. So I
wish you were passionate about something.
It was smoke and mirrors from the Obama administration. You know, Obama also campaigned on, we need to label GMOs in our food, completely abandoned it, started patting, you know, Monsanto people within the administration and the FDA and all this. So everything that they had promised, that family went back on. And so all of these Democrats that love Obama, I'm like, if that was your issue, here you have Trump. He's saying he's willing to do it. Like, so you either cared about it then or you were lying, or you're going to, care about it now.
Here's the thing that is amazing to me. I've never seen a politician ever. I'm a, quasi-historian. I know history of America. I don't think anyone has seen a president who is like, yep, I'm going to do it. Never. I don't care if anybody likes it. I'm going to do it.
But that's anything with him.
I know it is. So I'm not worried about things when he's here.
I know.
He's only has 4 years. And he's told me, Glenn, it's going to take 12 to turn this ship. That's why
Totally.
JD Vance, he's building a movement to try to take those other 8 years when he's not there, because we could do this for 2 or 3 years and
we're just going to be able
nothing.
to touch the surface, and it's going to be amazing, but it's just going to be the start. And so that's why when I said earlier, MAHA transcends MAGA.
Yes.
So the idea behind this whole coalition that RFK Jr. has started with Make America Healthy Again is not that it has an expiration date of 2028. It's that this is going to keep going and keep going and keep going. So all of us that are in the MAHA coalition, we are going to be doing this activism and fighting for years to come. It doesn't end with the Trump admin. So whoever is president, Democrat, Republican, our job who are involved in this, we're going to make sure that this keeps being, top of conversation in all political movements and all administrations going forward. We can't it doesn't end with Trump, because we will miss such a huge opportunity if we stop with Trump. So, this is an exciting time to get on board and get bought in, because we're going to have so much fun in these 4 years, but then, get involved and stay involved going forward as well.
How much does the local farm matter versus Bill Gates farmer?
Well, incredibly. We were never supposed to have our fruits and vegetables and things, shipped across the country or from overseas, and then you're waiting. I just had a farmer, Paul Grieve, who's the owner of Pasture Bird, on Culture Apothecary, and he was talking about how, your tomato, for example, how it looks so perfect and shiny, and it's chemicals that are how every tomato looks the same. That was something we did as a marketing scheme. Your tomato being perfect to ride in a truck all that time to get to you, it's losing nutrient density, right, as opposed to just picking it off the vine and eating it within a day or two. We were never supposed to wait that long to eat our food. Bread, your sliced bread. We always say the best thing since sliced bread. Sliced bread was a terrible invention. Your bread should not be mold-free sitting on your counter for months. It should get moldy within a few days. Mm-hmm. There's something wrong with your food. My chiropractor, Glenn, has a container of ultra-processed muffins that he bought in 2017 or something that sits out in his office. There is not even a speck of mold on these things. They look brand new, and he bought them in 2017. That is not food. It's not food. Food expires, food molds, food goes bad, food has imperfections. If your food doesn't, it isn't food. And so when I realized that 90% of what is in a grocery store today isn't food, it actually isn't. That's wild to think. But what's in a grocery store, none of it is food. Only a few things, and really on the peripherals there, that's the only food there is. That will really change your life. We are supposed to know and connect to who our local farmer is. If we have another pandemic and we have food shortages, we will run out of food completely in 3 days. Almost all of America is fed by Walmart. If a food supply issue causes Walmart to run out of food, there will be no food in as little as 3 days. That should absolutely terrify you. The only way to solve that problem is to grow your own food, have access to some of it, and know your local farmer or rancher. We have to know who our local farmers and ranchers are.
So I live in a town half the year up in Idaho. I have a ranch and raise my own cattle, grow some of our own food and everything else. And I live in a town of about 450, but it's actually 448 because I can't count my wife and I, are farmers, okay? I'm just kind of like the guy who shows up and goes, yeah, that cow looks good, let's eat him. Every farmer that I know and I live around, they are poor. They are barely keeping their head above water. The regulations that are coming down, they know the land. Most of them, if not all of them, are generational farmers. They know the land. They know how to take care of it. And they're being told what to do. And then they're being squeezed by big food and quite honestly, all these processing plants. So they're just putting them out of business.
I firmly believe food freedom is a human right that should be an American right to buy or sell or grow whatever food you want. And I don't think that our founding fathers thought to include that because they thought it was assumed.
Yes.
They didn't think they would need to say anything about that. They didn't think that there was going to be different companies controlling seeds and, you know, what you can and cannot grow and all of this. I mean, the idea to just drink what milk you want or whatever, it's like, duh. So that's why I don't think that was included because they just figured, well, of course, you know.
We find these truths to be self-evident. They weren't for the rest of the world. But food, that was self-evident to everyone in the world. Everyone. So you, as somebody who is the healthiest time in my life was growing up. My dad was a baker.
Oh,
and
cool.
Generational. I'm the first Beck, as far back as we can track, that did not go into baking. Thank God. And my father used to say, because I used to trade my dad's sandwich bread for Wonder Bread because you could roll it up in a ball. I mean, it was like everything awful about Wonder Bread. As a kid, if you're only getting that, you know, the good bread, you look at, well, that comes from a store and that's got to be better.
It's special.
Yeah. But my father used to always say, no chemicals, real butter, real cream. Yes, you might get fatter because you're eating too much of it, but that's what it has to be made with. We are so far away from that. And we're also, most people don't have any idea that the meat that they buy isn't already ground up, that it's actually a cow, and cows have nothing to do with the styrofoam or the plastic over it. They have no idea where their food comes. The only way to truly stop this is if people, and right now, a lot of people can't, if people grow their own fruits and vegetables as much as they can from a local farm, they buy everything local.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to stop this.
It's the only way. And so this is the problem. We are prioritizing and glorifying convenience over health.
Yes.
There is a cost to that. If that is the most important thing to you, is that, well, I just need to eat a quick meal, you know, on the way to my son's soccer practice. Okay, well, then that's your choice. But there is going to be a cost. It's going to be health. Now, is it a little bit more work to make every meal at home? Yeah. It is, than going through Chick-fil-A drive-through. But there is going to be a price to pay. So you have to figure out in the moment, is it time? Is that the price I'm willing to pay? Is my time and the convenience? Or is it, you know, years in the hospital and hospital bills down the road? So a prime example of this is my own dad. My dad just passed away in December. He was addicted to ultra-processed food. My dad had multiple heart attacks starting in his 40s. He was a type 2 diabetic, which we used to call, remember, adult onset diabetes. You know why we call it type 2 diabetes now? Because kids are getting it. So it's not adult onset, it's kids, because now kids are eating just as crappy and horribly as adults. And then my dad developed brain cancer. He was diagnosed with glioblastoma last January.
Oh my gosh.
So all of these things were happening, completely lifestyle choice induced. Growing up, I mean, my dad was such a picky eater and everything, like, oh, let's go to White Castle, whatever. We had removed his brain tumor. And on the way home after brain tumor surgery, he said, please, can we just stop at Chick-fil-A? Please, I need to stop at Chick-fil-A. I'm like crying, begging, please, like, I'll make you exactly the same thing at home. I'll make you chicken nuggets. I'll make you pizza, but I will do it with real ingredients and I'll do it at home. Nope. I gotta have it. Just let me have this one time. Get home a couple hours later. Oh, can we just please go to pizza? Please let me go to pizza. It was an addiction, just like anything else, just like drugs, alcohol. People don't understand. The food is engineered. And this is why it's so hard when people say, I don't understand why I can't lose weight. It's because it's working against you. The food is chemically engineered in such a way, it is nearly impossible to stop eating it. The reason why, Glenn, you and I sitting here right now, if I say the word Chick-fil-A sandwich, know exactly what it tastes like. It was engineered that way.
Yes.
Our brains are hijacked. I know exactly what, a Jiffy pancake tastes like. I know exactly what a Wendy's chicken nugget tastes like versus McDonald's. It was designed that way so that you crave it and then I have to have it and I have to go to that place. It's the same every time.
What's scary is no matter where you are in the world, with few exceptions, a McDonald's burger tastes exactly the same.
Yeah.
Where I go and have
normal.
a street taco in Texas and have one in Mexico City, the meat doesn't taste the same. Same cities, McDonald's does.
Yeah. And so I was like spending this last year, of my dad's life, just asking him, like, please let me buy you some time. I knew he was going to die. I mean, glioblastoma is the most deadly brain cancer. Also, he was in heart failure. So what actually ended up killing him was heart failure. His heart just stopped. He needed a heart transplant, but with having brain cancer, they won't allow you to get organs transplant. So it was a lot of things going on, and I knew he was going to die, but I was just like, if we could just buy you like a couple more months. And I was telling him, I need you to tell the nutritionist at the hospital to put you on a keto diet. I knew from everyone that I'd interviewed, all of these different functional medicine doctors and integrative cancer specialists, that keto diet is one of the most life-saving things that you could do for brain cancer. He goes to the hospital nutritionist and says, okay, my daughter, she's very into health. She says I should do keto. The nutritionist says, oh no, that's like a terrible idea. Like, you don't want to, all these like animal fats and different things like that, like, stay away. This would be a terrible idea.
Were they putting chemo into his body at the same time that she's saying this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. He was doing the chemo pill, and he was doing radiation and everything, which also telling him you're definitely going to die. You have about 18 months to live, but also we need you to do, and I kept saying, okay, will anyone answer the question, why, if he's dying anyway, we know he has 18 months or so because of his heart and all this anyway, why does he need to do the chemo pill and wreck his body? Like, what is the point? Nobody could answer that question. And my parents were so scared because, and I understand, I'm their baby. I'm not a health professional. In their eyes, they're like, are we going to listen to our daughter who just got into this a year and a half ago, or what the doctors are telling us, in Indiana? And so the doctor said that's a terrible idea. Now it just came out a week ago. Patients with glioblastoma who do a keto diet, they buy months of time. Sometimes are living years longer on a keto diet than without. And so it's very frustrating. And so my thing is, like, now I couldn't save my dad. Okay. And I tried, but I can maybe, with the information that I share on my show, I can help save someone else or someone else's loved one. And so that's kind of become my mission now, is that I wish so bad I could have saved him, but kind of understanding this process and, watching him be in the hospital, literally waiting surgery for a brain tumor. And the nurses were bringing in cases of soda. And I said, hey, my dad has a brain tumor surgery scheduled tomorrow. Do you think he should maybe have water? Oh, that's maybe a good idea. Sure. The high fructose corn syrup jam that they're bringing him in the hospital bed. We're literally, the Coca-Cola machines in the hospital. Has it occurred to anybody that you're feeding patients the food that got them there in the first place when we're sending people to the hospital? The hospital, it seems more and more, is not even the place we send people to get better. We send them to get worse. I mean, so the whole thing was so frustrating. So I'm like, I have to talk about this. I have to alert the masses. This is so important to me. I mean, good grief. And so that is now going forward, in honor of my dad. I couldn't save him. I hope I can save other people. And I'm not the expert, by the way, Glenn. I tried to say no to testify at the Senate because I said, what the heck are you asking me to do this for? I dropped out of college. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I'm interviewing the experts. I'm not the expert. I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. I'm learning something new every day. But Callie Means actually convinced me to do it. And he said, like, you don't need to be the expert. I just want you to be the voice of the audience that you speak to every day. How hard it is to raise healthy kids in America, the different hoops that you have to jump through to get clear nutritional information and navigating the vaccine schedule, all those things. Just say what you hear in your messages every day from your audience. And so that's how I wrote my speech. And it ended up going, I call it triple platinum viral. And I said no to doing that a couple times. I was just like so scared to do it. But I'm so glad I did. And it was just, it's so bizarre. Like my dad was watching that and sharing it on his Facebook and being like, wow, yeah, make America healthy again. And like, he understood what I was doing, but he just like couldn't quite do it for himself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I want to talk to you about something that is deeply personal to me, and I just want to understand your point of view. Suicide runs in my family like a pack of wild elephants. I lost my mother to suicide, lost my brother to suicide. Everyone in my family, except maybe two, has had serious bouts of depression. There is a difference to me of depression and familial. I see the cycle. I can watch it. I can see it happening to my children. I can see it in me. And when I got married to my wife, I said, these are the signs you look for.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've watched my family kill themselves. Mm-hmm. And you have come out and you've said on depression that these drugs don't work. And that might be true. And I know nobody knows how they work, but we're so arrogant to think we know how this body works in the first place. But I know, I have seen, again, dogs, Prozac, we over-medicate on everything. But do you really believe that true clinical depression that is not caused from a sad day, mm-hmm. okay, doesn't exist? And and these drugs do nothing?
Yes, there is true clinical depression. What's interesting to me, and I talked to, you should have on, Dr. Roger McFillin. He's a clinical psychiatrist who specializes in this, in SSRIs and antidepressants and what's wrong with them. So when you look at the studies of putting someone on an antidepressant and a placebo and like how they do, the placebo effect, the antidepressant is basically, the lines are exactly the same. Like it is a placebo drug. This is what we're seeing.
All
yes.
medicine?
So with antidepressants, with SSRIs.
Okay.
So you're seeing that people that are given a placebo versus antidepressant, it's like exactly the same. Oh, I'm like so much better taking this pill. And they're neck and neck. It's like barely above, which is very interesting to me. And what I also think is interesting is that one of the main side effects of an SSRI, an antidepressant, is anxiety and depression, serious depression. Right. So we're taking this pill to cure this, but it also causes it, which is weird. Mm-hmm. And we see better effects with changing things like food, diet, environment, movement. Like those are the true antidepressants that we see time and time again. That's when people are really, it's showing more of a positive effect than the antidepressants.
Do you believe that it's genetic in any way?
I haven't heard anything about that from anyone that I've interviewed.
Okay.
So that would be something very interesting, especially with your family, because you have multiple generations dealing with that. Yeah. So I would be curious, like, okay, is there a genetic component, or is it habits, familial learned habits that like your mom did this, your mom's mom did this, your brother, like it's just like learned things, and or like ways you eat or places that you live. Or...
So I will tell you, it's weird because I don't know if you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here saying you're wrong. I don't know. But I do know that I went through a period of life in my 20s that I cannot logically explain, to where the world just closed in on me. And I went to finally a friend, because I kept saying, it's me. Mm. And a friend said, I'm taking you to the hospital. And the drug at the time was Elavil. And Elavil would just put you, I mean, you slept. And they put me on Elavil, and I was out foggy for a few days. And then the first day, I don't even remember how many days it was, but the first day that I was really back aware, I remember walking into the bathroom and looking at myself in the mirror and thinking, where have you been? You're back. I mean, it was night and day.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting. I mean, it is like people that are dealing with it in the severe levels. I think that would be such a good conversation to have with him, because it is a little bit unexplainable. So maybe there is something to it, and maybe that even that little smidge above placebo, like maybe that is still helpful in some cases.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, and I do. We do not have a issue of depression in this country at the rate that it's happening.
No.
That is environment.
Well,
that is absolutely. I mean, you can tie this curve going straight up, or a very steep curve of depression going up with teenagers, with the introduction of the iPhone.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm not saying that's the only thing, but there are things you're like, oh, that was introduced, and look, that notched up, and then that was introduced, and that notched up. There are reasons, but I'm not sure it's always that way.
Have you heard of something called PSSD?
No.
Post-SSRI sexual dysfunction. This is one of the most disturbing side effects that has come out. People that are on an antidepressant or SSRI as little as a week, it's basically instant, can have lifelong debilitating genital numbness, no ability to climax, experience sexual pleasure at all, completely ruins their life. Also things like experiencing joy and euphoria in any way, even non-sexual. And we're seeing people come out of the woodwork, like had no idea that this was a side effect. That's super scary.
So I think that goes back to, I mean, I remember when, this is 40 years ago, and I said to the doctor, how exactly does this work? And he said, I could give you a bunch of gobbledygook. He said, but the truth is, we have no idea.
Right.
We have no idea. And I don't think we have any idea on most things in our body yet, especially the brain.
What we used to be told, and whatever, and everybody, you know, it's like normal. It's part of the like everyday, you know, lexicon is there's a chemical imbalance in the brain. These people have a chemical imbalance. Saying that there is a chemical imbalance in the brain that causes depression was a marketing tool slogan created by Big Pharma. Think about it. How do you test for a chemical imbalance in the brain? Is there a blood draw?
No.
There's nothing. And then you go and you try to figure out, well, how do we know if somebody's depressed? Well, you make an appointment with your general practitioner, and they give you a little sheet of paper. This is what they do today. And you do this like 10-question questionnaire, and you know they're asking you questions like, have you experienced, feeling worthless in the last 2 weeks? Have you experienced being sad in the last 2 weeks? I mean, yes, of course, yes.
Everybody.
And then you look at the very bottom of the paper, and it's like sponsored by or you know, whatever, by Pfizer and some friends, or something like that. The entire 10-question questionnaire that we give out to every single doctor's office is another marketing tool funnel, like flies to honey, to bring people in to get everyone on an antidepressant. So that's super scary.
It doesn't seem like anything has changed since the days when somebody was told to eat ham and bacon for breakfast.
Nothing has changed. And so that is what has to change, is that nothing has changed.
Yeah. I would love to have you back, because I'd actually like to go through like my life, because I think I'm pretty normal bad eater, you know.
You want me to go through your grocery list?
I would, because I don't know. I'm at this place. I'm super, super busy. My wife is on this track, but I don't know. And, you know, look at me.
Well, let me give you one
how
nugget.
much longer am I going to be able to live if I change all of the food? I mean, you really think I got I
you
get
could
an
buy
extra
time.
10 minutes?
Still, I mean, but 10 minutes is 10 minutes, right? To
Yeah.
see your grandkids again and your kids and your wife. So one little nugget, not a chicken nugget that I'll leave you with, is it's as simple as real food. If God made it, eat it. If it's a single ingredient item, eat it. That's beef, eggs, even flour, sugar. Sugar itself isn't bad. If it's organic, non-GMO sugar, real sugar is good.
But
it's
isn't that processed and refined?
No, real, raw, organic sugar. There's nothing wrong with sugar.
Isn't that a cane? A sugar cane?
Yeah. High fructose, engineered chemical sugar is what is hijacking your brain and you can't stop eating. So like ice cream can be a health food. If you're only there's like 3 ingredients. If there's 3 ingredients in ice cream, Glenn, have ice cream. But the ice cream now that you get at Walmart or other big box stores, do an experiment. Get a little Nutty Buddy or one of these, fudge bars or whatever. Set it on your counter. See how long it takes to melt. They don't melt. Now, why isn't the ice cream melting? Because it's not ice cream. So real food, like I said, should expire, should go bad. And shopping the peripherals of the grocery store. If you're on those aisles and you're not going in the center, then you're going to be able to find real food. And so if you are to look at a box, because I do like cookies and things like that occasionally. I know the brands that are seed oil free and better for you. So if I'm looking at a box of cookies and every single ingredient, like, oh, I could have those items in my pantry and make this, I know it's real food. If there's like monodiglycerides and things like that, and they're like, what the hell is that? Then don't buy that. So monodiglycerides, by the way, if you ever see that on something that's trans fat, which they banned because they know that it causes heart attacks, but now they're sneaking it in through monodiglycerides. So stay away from that ingredient. But that's what's in all those ice creams that aren't melting. So, looking for real food, it's very simple. And you don't need to overwhelm yourself by I have to memorize what every single thing like artificial food dyes and seed oils and what is this on the label and what is this. Focus on one thing. Like, I want to learn what seed oils are. I want to know exactly what to look for. I want to be able to spot that on a food label and avoid it. Then you can get really confident and expert level on that. And then you can move on to the next ingredient.
So what is the... when you look at the food, that sounds really easy. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the oils, what is the difference between the oils?
So
I always think like milk. You can't, if it doesn't have a teat, that's not milk. It's not
well,
milk.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking like almond milk and oat milk.
Yeah. So what is the difference in the oils?
So you want to avoid these industrialized seed oils, which are things like canola oil, vegetable oils, not from vegetables, rapeseed, grapeseed. No,
from vegetables.
No, this is basically like you could clean jet engines with it. This was not made for human consumption. It's oil byproducts. Like you aren't.
None of that's all from the ground and not from a vegetable from the ground? That's all from pumping oil out of the ground?
It's
a byproduct of that?
Yeah. It's nasty. Like watch a video of like how canola oil is made. You're going to throw up. Like you're going to be like, what the heck have I been eating? This is disgusting.
Olive oil? Okay.
Olive oil is good. So you want to avoid soybean, sunflower. You want to avoid it once in a while. If you have like a cookie or something and they use sunflower oil, that would probably be the best out of all of them, but you don't want to use it. What you do want to cook with is just grass-fed butter. It's really that easy. Olive oil and ghee. You could do ghee, beef tallow, your animal fats. Yeah. And then occasionally, sometimes people can use avocado oil. That's fine. But that's kind of a gray area because avocado oil could be mixed with other oils or rancid. We're finding a lot of avocado oils are actually rancid on the shelves. So I kind of stay away from avocado oil. But olive oil. And, make sure it's single origin. So it'll say on there and cut with other oils. That means it's got seed oils in there. It's canola oil and olive oil. Like you want 100% organic extra virgin olive oil. That's it from one place.
What is it when you look at the labels and it says GMO? Non-GMO. I don't believe labels anymore. It's all 100% organic. I don't believe that anymore because everybody found loopholes to everything.
That's true. So I still, if I'm buying something at a grocery store, I still will buy the organic or non-GMO thing, but also knowing that the only way you can truly know how clean your food is to know your farmer. So that's that. I mean, I can pick up organic asparagus. Is it really 100% organic? I'm taking a gamble. I mean, we know for sure there's some different like pesticides and herbicides and stuff not being used. But if you want to be 100% sure, you have to grow it yourself, or you have to know who your farmer is or at your farmer's market. And also, when you're at the farmer's market, ask the farmers, what are you spraying on your crops? Mm-hmm. What are your animals eating? How do you farm? Can I tour your farm? If they start giving you a bunch of weird answers or like, oh no, we don't do farm tours and all this, like run. What you're seeing a lot now is people at the farmer's market are going to Costco and stuff, buying like bags of green beans and then dumping it out and being like, oh yeah, buy my green beans. They're not even from a farm. They're from the store. So you're getting like, it's called the vegetable black market. So you really, when I say know your farmer, even at a farmer's market, know your farmer. Ask those questions. Where's your farm? What kind of practices do you use, to grow your vegetables and things like that? So you have to ask those couple things. And I have tons of interviews with organic farmers where they'll go through like, here's the things to ask your farmer that you should go back and listen to.
It's great to have you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. God bless you.